Welcome to the Leveling Up Podcast with me, George Swift from Bigger, Brighter, Bolder. I'm also the founder of BBB Success Groups for ambitious entrepreneurs and Extreme Growth Masterminds. The Leveling Up Podcast is here to give you the personal development, the entrepreneurial development, and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desire. We're here to give you the inspiration, the motivation, and the aspiration to take yourself and your business to the next level. Don't forget to tune in every Monday, Wednesday for mindset, attitude, personal performance, and business growth content. And on Fridays, we do our Friday 5-minute fix. Go and subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Okay, so thanks for joining me on today's episode. Today, we are looking at what I call the 3 M's, the 3 major components that you need to have in place. These are high-level components in order to create the success that you want in your business. Any deficit in any of these areas will have a massive knock-on to the potential that your business has to deliver on its potential, but also it will massively limit your ability as the entrepreneur, the business owner behind the business, to create the success that you want, both within your business and from yourself and out of life as a whole. So what are they? The 3 M's, I call these. Number 1, mindset. Number 2, model. And number 3, methodology. Now, I will undoubtedly be going into each of these areas in future podcasts in detail because, of course, each of these areas you could literally sit through a month of lectures on, okay? And you still wouldn't have touched the sides of what I could talk about in each of these 3 core areas. However, what today's podcast is really designed to do is to give you an overview for you to really evaluate your own business and see where you might have some gaps in your game. Gaps are good. Quite often in business, we sometimes hide from our gaps. Sometimes this is kind of negative upbringing through some of our schooling, etc., where we start to hide our mistakes. Maybe even in business. I've definitely worked for other companies, other people, where it was, definitely not prudent to own up to your mistakes, if that makes sense. It made a lot more sense to try and hide your mistakes under a carpet. Many of us now, as adults, we still do this. We hide from our failings, our limitations. We hide from the gaps in our game because we feel at some level that we are somehow vulnerable if we dare to admit them and own up to them. This isn't also, by the way, owning up to the world about this stuff. I mean, like even acknowledging it ourselves. So many people find it hard to even acknowledge their own gaps. You've only got to challenge a few people and see their defensive behavior to see how many people really hide from this concept, However, we do know that for people, in order to really excel, to really tap into their peak performances or their personal performance, for people to really become successful, they have to own up to their gaps. They have to own up to their vulnerabilities. They have to embrace these things because your greatest opportunities lie in the gap. Okay, it's the stuff that we don't necessarily want to see, where we don't want to go. It might be stuff that makes us feel bad if we were to acknowledge this. This is all down to potentially having a dented or slightly lower self-esteem than we need it to, or what we need to have in order to be successful. If that's true, you definitely need to boost your self-confidence and your self-esteem as well, because that will absolutely limit your ability to dare to look into the gaps and own up to this stuff. Again, I'm not saying about declaring it to the world or anything. It's about acknowledging it for ourselves. But it can make us feel incredibly vulnerable. So this podcast is designed to look at these 3 big overarching areas that you need to have covered. But really, I want you to have that mindset of being brave enough to dare to look for your own gaps and not just reject maybe what you're hearing, but ask yourself, like, how does what George is saying, how does that apply to me? How does that apply to my business? How does that apply to what I'm doing? It's what I call my applied learning technique, and I'll probably do a podcast on that at some point in the future. But basically, what is he saying? How does it relate to what I'm doing? How does it relate to me? What do I need to do with this information? If you apply that to all education, not just what you're listening to right now, but all education, it will have a massive knock-on impact to your ability to really educate yourself on the stuff you need to be educated on in order to create the changes that you're looking for. So with that in mind, putting our big boy pants on, our big girl pants on, let's start looking for some gaps. But also, let me just share with you first of all what it is you might need to have in place. Again, I keep saying this episode is a very overarching high level view of these areas, okay? All my podcasts go into one of these categories as we go through. Every single episode will touch on one of these. Okay, number one, 6-figure mindset, okay? Now that is something I refer to when I take businesses from under 100K to over 100K. What I mean by that is if you're doing 30, 40, 50K, to even achieve 100K, you've got to have a 6-figure mindset, 100K plus mindset in place. If you're currently doing 20, 30K and you want to hit 50, 60K this year, then you also need to make sure you've got a mindset that is calibrated to handle the growth that you want to achieve. If you're doing 250 grand and you want to do £500,000, you need to make sure you've got a £500,000 mindset. What do I mean by this when I say this mindset? Well, your mindset is how your mind is set up. It's how you act, it's how you react to things, it's how you interpret things, it's the meaning you give to things. It's how you've learned to think and perceive and see yourself and the world around you and everyone else in it. It's how you see your business and everything else. So if you only see yourself as a 50K kind of a business owner and you only see your business as a 50K potential business, you can see how already that's going to limit anything that your business can possibly achieve, because you're going to approach your business with that limited mindset, and your mindset will absolutely translate into your behaviors, okay? And we will definitely do an episode on this one because this is at the core of my personal development philosophies. But basically, your mindset will translate itself into your behaviors. Your behaviors will obviously translate into like actions in the external world, what you do, what you don't do, and how you do it. And therefore, obviously, in return, that will dictate what you get back. The reaction from the world, in other words, your results, ultimately the success or failure or moderate success or massive failure of your business or anything else in your life, your health, your relationships, finances, whatever it might be. Your mindset dictates behaviors. Your behaviors obviously dictate your actions or are your actions, and what you do in the world will come back. It will magnify back at you and give you those results. So if your mindset is already thinking limited, like you've got a limited mindset where, you know, you're doing 50 and you think, oh, maybe I can do 100, I don't know. Straight away, I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to bet against you all day long. Not to be mean against you, but I'll bet against you all day long. Equally, by the way, if you come up to me and give me some bullshit like I'm going to be a trillionaire, then I'm also going to call bullshit on that. I'm not going to back you. But if you come to me and you're doing 50K and you say something to me like, you know what, George, I really believe 100K is possible. I look at my business, if I can do 50K already, how can I not do 100K, right? I know there's some stuff I need to change. I just need to see what those things are. But you know, it doesn't seem possible that if I could achieve 50K, that I couldn't achieve 100K. I'll back you all day long. If you're doing 100K and you say, look, if I can get a business 100 grand, George, surely I can hit £250,000. I'll back you all day long. If you hit £250,000, you say to me, look, if I can do £250,000, George, in 4 years, 5 years, 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is, if I can do £250,000 in business, I have to be able to do £1 million, right? I mean, I know there's a lot to learn. I know there's lots of things I don't know yet. And I know we're maxed out as a business. And I know there's this, that, and the other. But there has to be a way, right, to get from £250,000 to £1 million. If you can do £250,000, you must be able to do £1 million, right? I'll back you all day long. Start your business tomorrow with £10 in your back pocket and tell me you're going to be a millionaire in 12 months. I'm going to back against you. Now, you may be the one person, right, that breaks the rule. Okay, but if I bet against everybody that gives me that bullshit, I'm always going to come up good. Right? I might lose one to the one person that makes it happen. I've yet to find them, by the way. It takes real graft, real hard work. It needs a head that is realistic, but also ambitious. And that can be really hard. The 50K person that thinks they're maxed out at 50K, they also see themselves as realistic. Does this make sense? Okay. What we need is realistic, ambitious mindset. And sometimes that can be a little bit of a kind of like a tough scale to balance out, you know, at what point does ambition become delusional? At what point, you know, am I just dreaming as opposed to genuinely being ambitious and engaged with my business and my goals and my growth and everything else? I'm gonna tell you now, there's no definitive line. I'm just telling you some of the stuff that I come across with people, and I just say some of the stuff that I call bullshit on. If you're 50K and you're thinking, I must be able to do 100K, I just don't know how right now, guess what? That's an amazing mindset to get you to 100K. If you know how to hit 100K, right, say, look, I'm on 50K, George, I can show you right now how I can do 100K right now, and I'm going to hit 100K. I can see how I'm going to do that in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever. And you know what, George, if I can hit 100K, I don't know how yet, but there must be a way of me hitting £250,000, the other side of that. I'm still going to back you, even though you're doing 50K right now. It's not the scale necessarily that I'm calling bullshit on, okay? It's your mindset, how you're thinking about the problem. Does this make sense? Start your business up today and say, George, you know what? I have no idea what I'm doing, but you know what? I'm going for $1 million anyway. I'm gonna call bullshit on that. I'm really sorry, right? I'm all up for ambition. I'm all up for you having big dreams and everything else. But the truth of the matter is, right, I've not seen it work that way before. Okay, you need to get this in space. You need to get your head in the game first and foremost. The right mindset is one that is a growth mindset. It's where you're open to opportunity, you're open to growth. It's an ambitious mindset. You know, you want more, you crave to do more, whatever that might be. You know, it might be to make a bigger business for yourself, create an empire, or it might be to impact more people. It might just be you want a nicer car, right? Whatever it is, right? But there's that ambitious drive in there that says, you know what, I want more. I also want you to enjoy the hell out of what you have got, by the way, okay? It's about being miserable today. It's about loving what you've got today. This is a tricky balance as well. It's about loving what you've got today while still being like craving like better for tomorrow. Does this make sense? This can be really hard because quite often when you're craving better for tomorrow, it negatively impacts how you feel about today. This is why so many people feel it's a choice. You know, it's a choice between either like living presently in the now and not, you know, letting go of that dream and those desires and those ambitions, but just enjoying the present, or they lock into ambition, they lock into, you know, wanting more, but in return they feel worse and worse about where they are today just because of the comparison. If I want a really, really big house, then suddenly my house becomes not so exciting to me. It's a real balance in that, but you want to keep completely engaged, loving the hell out of today, loving what you've got today, but equally being still really driven and motivated for better for tomorrow. It can be a bit of a balancing act, okay? And it can take a little bit of time to get your perceptions in place in order to do that. As I say, high level stuff today, but that's the stuff you want to make sure you've got in place. Make sure your mindset can handle like the growth that you want to go to. Make sure you're thinking the right way. You know, sense check it, listen to your thoughts, write your thoughts down, and look back like I do and call bullshit, you know, say, does this sound like someone that's really gonna hit 100K, 200K, $1 million? Does this really sound like that? Or does this sound like someone who's dreaming, daydreaming, hoping, wishing, or someone that just has, you know, literally you're saying, you know, I'm writing down I want to hit 100K, but there's nothing in me that believes I can do it. That kind of thing, right? There's no point setting a goal for the sake of the goal and everything else. Okay, that's your mindset. Next one is your model. You need to make sure that your business model can handle it. Now, the reason I say mindset first is because if you've got an amazing mindset, you will wring the last drop of potential out of a business model. So if your business model maxes out at like 50K, right? And you've got a great mindset, you will get your business near as damn it to 50K, okay? If you've got a shit mindset and I give you £1 million model, you'll do nothing with it. This is like going to the gym, and I used to know so many personal trainers and stuff, and a lot of their disappointment in their careers were the fact that their clients wouldn't do what they needed to do to get the result that the client came with. Make sense? So the client would come and say, this is what I want to achieve. And then they'd say, right, this is what you need to do to achieve it. And then the client wouldn't do it. Does this make sense? It's because you gave them the model to get the result, but they didn't have the right mindset in place in order to deliver against that model. Make sense? It's exactly the same in business. This is why I'm quite anti-blueprints. You know, you'll hear a lot of people selling you blueprints. You know, they'll sell you the £1 million formula or the £10 million blueprint or the, you know, I don't know, launch a property empire blueprint. And it literally, and I'm not even saying it's bullshit, right? A lot of that stuff is bullshit, you get that, right? But even if the stuff's completely legit, if I wrote down my absolute formula for how I got my coaching business into where it is now, from those one-to-one coaching clients that I was doing, you know, 9 years ago, whatever, for like 40 quid an hour, whatever it was, or 40 quid for 2 hours, because I've always overcoached, right? So 40 quid for like 2 hour sessions and stuff. How did I get from that to where we are now, where we've got 3 masterminds? We've got Success Group Plus Mastermind. We've got online success groups. I've still got some one-to-one clients as well. You know, we got employees. We've got this, that, and the other. How do we get to that point? I could give you an absolute ABC. And I tell you now, if I lost it all today, we've learned so many lessons. As long as I kept my optimism and positivity, I could go back to the beginning and we could recreate what we've done in a fraction of the time. And you'll see this, not just me saying it to you, but you'll see this with so many other businesses. You know, they'll get a business to £1 million, they might lose it. It might take them 10 years to get there. It takes them 18 months to build £1 million business after that. because the mindset's in place and they know what else needs to be in place, etc., etc. Then it's about making sure the model's in place. Does this make sense? So they go hand in hand, but mindset always first, because a shit mindset will do nothing with a great model. If I gave you my blueprint, right, I won't. If your head's not in the right place, if you're not thinking big enough, if you're not doing all the stuff we said already, you're not going to do anything with it. You won't apply it. Like if I give you the perfect weight training program, but your head's not in the game, you won't do it. Get the perfect weight loss program, you won't do it because your head's not in the game. Get the head in the game, number one. Number two, the model. Make sure the model you're working to absolutely delivers the result you want. If you want 100K, does your model achieve 100K? Do the maths on this stuff. Where does your model max out? If you are a one-man band and you're charging £50 an hour and you're doing delivery of 8 hours per day, 5 days a week, and then you're doing all your marketing and that around that in the evenings and weekends, and that maxes that's the most you could ever deliver. Do the maths on that. Where does that end up? Okay, in my six-figure fast track that I talked about earlier, and I've got a whole webinar which I'll share with you a little bit later. But when I talk about the six-figure fast track, we go through the maths of this to work out, right? What's the maths in your model? Can your model handle your ambition? Does your model take you where you want to get to? The model is, what you do and who you do it for and the way you sell it and the way you market it, the price that you charge it for. It's your systems, it's your processes, it's the people in your business as well working alongside you, etc. Any weakness in it, I call them cogs in the model, any weakness in any of these cogs will limit the performance of the overall model. So you need to make sure that you've got a model that absolutely takes your business to the level that you are ambitious to. So it's not saying I need a model at 50K that takes me to £1 million. I just need a model at 50K that takes me to the £100,000+, if that's where you're heading for, that's where ambition takes you to. There's no need to have a model from 100K that takes you to 10 million. In fact, I truly believe it can be damaging to have a model that is way beyond where you're currently operating. It can bog your business down. You want to have a model that kind of effortlessly takes you to the next level. That's what this whole leveling up podcast is all about. It effortlessly takes you to the next level. What I mean by that is you're always going to have to work hard. It's not that you're effortless. The model can handle it. In other words, you're doing 50K, you want to hit 100K, you do your model maths and work out what's the maximum your model can handle. Your model can do 130, 140, 150 grand. Perfect, right? It can hit 100 grand. It's not even close to running at the red line. In other words, maxing out your model. You will have every opportunity in order to achieve that goal. But if you want 100K, you're doing 30K and your model maxes out at 70K, you can work harder, you can work faster, you can do whatever it might be, but you literally will not be able to get 100K out of a 70K model. Makes sense, okay? This is why mindset first, then it's your model. Number 3, methodology. Your methodology is your day-to-day activity must deliver against that goal that you're trying to achieve. I see so many people that might be doing 30, 40K, wanting to hit 100K, but they're still doing activity that gets them either bogged down in the 20, 30K stuff. In other words, the day-to-day routines that maintain the level of business they currently have rather than stretching the business and growing the business. Does this make sense? Or they're putting day-to-day activity in for something that may pay off in years in the future. I see people in their first year of business, creating, blogs, for example, knowing full well, maybe some don't, but knowing full well sometimes that the blog will take maybe a good year, 2 years or more before it even starts to potentially deliver. You might get lucky and get the odd bit, bit of business out of it. And I'll caveat this, I'm aware some people do really good business out of blogs. I'm saying just generally speaking, your blog will take a long time to start delivering back to you, okay? A long time before it starts delivering you clients, but you're investing this time now for something that may or may not pay off in a year or 2 years' time. That will also bog you down. You want to start making sure that you're doing the activity today that is absolutely in alignment with taking your business where you want to get it to tomorrow. Not literally tomorrow metaphorically speaking. If you're doing 50K, you want to hit 100K, your model's doing 150K, your mindset's okay, your mindset can handle 100K plus, then you're looking at your day-to-day activity. Am I doing the shit? Am I doing the stuff that takes my business to 100K, or am I doing stuff that maybe I think will take me to £1 billion in the future, or stuff that will pay off massively in the future, or I'm doing stuff that is still keeping me bogged down at 50K. Now again, I keep using these numbers, 50K, 100K, etc. Right? The reason being really simply, most businesses, they don't hit 100K. So I'm using that to speak to you because the most likely chance is that's kind of where your business is, under 100K. If you are listening to this and you're doing £250,000, it's exactly the same if you want to hit £1 million. So for us in our business, for example, if we're sitting there tracking our £1 million that we're working towards, we need to make sure, do we have the right mindset? Am I really geared up in my own mindset to hit this £1 million? Exactly the same rules apply of what I've already shared with you. Does my model in my business take me to £1 million plus effortlessly? In other words, I want to hit 1 million in my business, the model better take me to 1.2 or maybe even 1.5 million, right? The next thing really simple, but no point being billions. I don't need £1 billion, just caveating again, jumping in. Don't need £1 billion model. I just need a 1.3, 4, £5 million model. That will effortlessly take me to £1 million. The next thing is, I need to do the shit today that builds £1 million business. Does this make sense? If I'm doing the stuff today that maintains the current level of business I'm having, that's where I'll get stuck. And this is why I see so many businesses getting stuck in their business growth is because like they're maxed out doing stuff to maintain the business they currently have, but they're not investing anything into the next level of the model. Now, if you're $250,000 going for $1 million, then you may be investing a year ahead. Me and Tracy, my partner in life and in this business, we are definitely investing in our business financially, time, energy, emotionally, money. We're investing stuff that will pay off in 12 months or more in the future because that's where we're operating at in our business. When I was a 50K business, it would have been ludicrous. And in fact, it was ludicrous because I was following some not so useful advice. It's ludicrous investing 18 months into the future because I've barely got enough money to get through right now. Does this make sense? What do I want to do? I'll invest to the next level. There's no point at my 50K investing in a £250,000 model. At 50K, I'm going for 100K. It's as simple as that. I do the shit that takes me to 100K. If I'm 100K and I want to double that, like in all of our masterminds, the one goal they have to set in Extreme Growth Masterminds, they have to set an extreme business growth goal. We start with doubling. Some people go to treble, but we start with doubling your business in a year. So they're looking at this, they're doing 100K and we say, right, 200 grand, right? Then you want to make sure, right, that's it. I don't need to be doing shit that's going to make £1 million. I don't need to be doing shit that's going to hold me back at 100K. I need to be doing the stuff that's going to get me to 200 grand or 250 or whatever it is you're aiming for. Does this make sense? It's the same strategy whether you're a startup and you just want to get off the ground and get your first 20K coming in. What do? Activity that takes you to 20K. Now, there'll be another podcast where we talk about what you do after you start to approach those goals and everything else. But for now, that's what I want to make sure you've got in place. The mindset, the model, and the methodology. Does your mindset, do you think, do you perceive, do you look at the world in a way that aligns with your next immediate big extreme growth goal? 50K to 100 plus K, 100 to 200, 250, 250, £500,000 to $1 million. That's what I'm talking about. Does your mindset, can it handle that? I don't need to handle $1 million and $1 billion if I'm only doing 50K. I've said that before. Model. I don't need a £1 million model if I'm starting my business off. I need a 50K, 100K model. That's what I need to go to town on. If I'm doing 100K and I want to hit $250,000, I need maybe a model that takes me to 350, 400, something like that. Maybe even £500,000. But I don't need billions of pounds. Then I need a methodology, a day-to-day practice, day-to-day habits. I need working routines where of course you're going to maintain the business you currently have. You have to do that. But where you find the time to invest, the time, the money, the focus to focus and take that energy and invest it into where you're heading. That's your day-to-day methodology. So have a quick look at yourself. Are you really thinking big enough? Are you able to perceive big enough? Are there some gaps in your mindset game? If there are, you need to get in there and you need to plug those gaps. Is there any gaps in your modeling? Does your modeling max you out now? Are you already maxed out? Are you approaching your max out? Or does it just not take you where you want to get to? Plug the gaps in your model. Does your day-to-day routines, your day-to-day actions, activities, the stuff you're doing today, is that taking you to that extreme growth goal? If not, plug the gaps. Plug the gaps in your mindset, your model, your methodology, and that's all you have to keep doing, right? And it's only a case of saying, right, 50 to 100 or so, 100 to 200 or so. Makes sense? 200 to £500,000 or so, £500,000 to $1 million or so. That's how you're thinking. That's how you keep leveling up. That's what this podcast absolutely stands for. Extreme business growth through raising your game. And the podcast is leveling up. You level up at each stage. You level up your mindset. You level up your model. You level up your methodology. And as long as you keep doing that, you will continue to get the extreme business growth that I hope you want. It's certainly what I believe you deserve. Okay, awesome guys. Now, a very quick one here. if you are currently doing under 100K, like most businesses are, then this content comes straight out of the 6-figure fast track webinar that I have produced, okay? If you go to biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk/fast track, all one word, fast track, then that will take you to where you can pick up this webinar and you can go and hit this webinar. This webinar was specifically designed with a 5-figure business in mind who wants to hit 100K or more in the next 12 months or less. We look at every one of these areas in more detail. The mindset, the model, and the methodology. We look at each of those areas and we start to, number one, pressure test you. Do you really have what you need to have in place in those 3 areas to hit 100K or more? Number two, what is it you should be doing? And actually, even more importantly, what is it you shouldn't be doing in order to hit that 100K in the next 12 months or less? If you're doing under 100K, get yourself on that webinar. It is full of amazing content, specifically targeting these 3 overriding areas that you need to have covered in order to achieve those goals. Go in there, biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk/fast track. Go on there, look at the fast track, get your own business onto its very own fast track. Awesome. Hope you enjoyed today's content. And no matter where you are in your own business growth, continue to go for that extreme business growth. You're going to do that by continually leveling up, okay? Leveling up your own personal game, leveling up your business, leveling up your model, just leveling up life. Nice one, guys. I look forward to seeing you at the next one. All the links that you need to connect with me are in the descriptions, including for that fast track. Check me out. I'd love to connect with you on social media as well. All the links are in there as well. I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, until then, be successful.